Hello, Heartland fans, and a warm welcome to my amazing YouTube audience. Whether you're a longtime Heartland lover or new to the show, you're in for a treat today because we're diving into something huge. Everything we thought we knew about Heartland is about to change forever. Ty Borden's return isn't just a moment of joy, it's a storm waiting to erupt. Amy has spent years rebuilding her life, but can she truly move forward when the past comes knocking? And what about Nathan? His love for Amy was undeniable, but with Ty back, will he stand aside or fight for the future they planned together? Secrets will be exposed, hearts will be shattered, and the biggest question remains, will Amy follow her past or embrace the future she's built? This is the moment we've all been waiting for, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Let's break it all down. Ty Borden's return to Heartland is nothing short of a miracle, but it's also a mystery wrapped in unanswered questions. For years, Amy believed he was gone forever, taken from her by fate's cruel hand. She mourned him, grieved him, and learned how to survive without him. But now, standing before her, is the man she loved, the father of her child, the partner she thought she lost. The world around her stops. Her heart pounds. This isn't a dream. Ty is here breathing, speaking, alive. But how? The shock is overwhelming, but Amy isn't the only one struggling to comprehend this reality. Jack, Lou, and the rest of the family are just as stunned. Ty's return defies everything they believe to be true. The weight of the moment crushes them all, questions racing through their minds. Where has he been? Why didn't he come back sooner? And the most painful question of all, if he had a choice to return, why did he wait so long? But this isn't just an emotional reunion, it's a revelation that shakes Heartland to its core. Ty's disappearance was never what it seemed. The truth is far darker, filled with secrets that no one was ready to uncover. And as much as Amy's heart screams to run into his arms, her mind whispers a terrifying thought. This man, this version of Ty, is not the same one she lost. Something has changed, something she cannot ignore. If Ty's return wasn't shocking enough, what happens next will leave everyone speechless. Because Amy isn't the same woman she once was. She's not the grieving widow anymore. She's a mother, a fighter, a woman who found love again, and that love has a name, Nathan. Now, Amy faces the impossible. Does she hold on to the love that once defined her, or does she embrace the future she built from the ashes? What happens when the past and present collide, and neither is willing to let go? For Nathan, Ty's return isn't just shocking, it's a devastating blow to everything he thought was certain. He stepped into Amy's life when she was at her lowest, offering her support, patience, and eventually love. He never tried to replace Ty, never expected Amy to forget him. But deep down, he believed that their future was real. He believed that, in time, he would be the one Amy could truly move forward with. And for a while, it seemed like she was ready. The engagement, the whispered promises, the quiet moments where Amy allowed herself to love again. Nathan had every reason to believe that they were building something unbreakable. But now, with Ty standing right there, everything is unraveling. Amy is frozen in a nightmare of impossible choices. Her heart is split in two, caught between the man she lost and the man who has been by her side. Every emotion she buried, every painful night she endured, every tear she shed for Ty, it all crashes back with unbearable force. She loved him. She still loves him. But can she just erase the years of grief and move forward as if nothing happened? And what about Lindy? She's grown up believing her father was gone. How does Amy explain to her that the stories of loss and heartbreak no longer hold true, that the man she wished for in her dreams is suddenly alive? Nathan watches the woman he loves crumble before him, and for the first time, doubt claws at his mind. Amy hasn't spoken, but she doesn't need to. The look in her eyes, the way her hands tremble, the way she struggles to breathe, it tells him everything. In that moment, he knows he's already losing her. But Nathan isn't ready to walk away. He fought too hard, loved too deeply, to let go without a battle. He believed in their future, and if he has to remind Amy of everything they built together, he will. But what does that fight look like when you're standing in the shadow of the love of her life? And then there's another terrifying thought. What if it's not just Amy who's struggling with this decision? What if Ty is too? Because while Amy's world has turned upside down, Ty's journey back home wasn't simple either. He's carrying his own demons, his own story that no one has heard yet. He's looking at Amy with the same love in his eyes, but something is different. He knows that time didn't stop for her the way it did for him. He sees Nathan. He sees the ring on Amy's finger. He sees the life that continued without him. And for the first time, he wonders, did he come back too late? But the truth is, there's no going back now. The past has returned, the future is uncertain, and everyone involved is about to face the hardest decision of their lives. Will Amy follow the love she never let go of, or will she embrace the life she built from the wreckage? And what happens when Nathan realizes that love alone may not be enough to hold on to the woman he's given his heart to? Nathan refuses to back down. He spent years proving to Amy that love didn't have to mean pain, that she could open her heart again without the fear of losing everything. He was there when she thought she would never love again, when she convinced herself that her life belonged only to her daughter and her horses. He was patient when she hesitated, understanding when she struggled, and unwavering when she finally took a step forward. He never rushed her, never pushed too hard. But now, it feels like everything was for nothing. Ty's return has shattered the future Nathan was ready to build with Amy, and for the first time, fear grips him, not fear of losing, but fear that he never truly had her heart to begin with. Amy is caught in an emotional storm she never saw coming. Her mind races with questions, doubts, and impossible choices. Ty was gone. She grieved him. She rebuilt her life not because she wanted to move on, but because she had to. She had to be strong for Lindy, for her family, for herself. But now, every wall she built around her heart is crumbling, and she doesn't know what to do. Nathan has been nothing but good to her, nothing but patient and kind. She cares for him, she truly does. She wouldn't have accepted his proposal if she didn't see a future with him. And yet, how does she ignore the fire that still burns for Ty? How does she stand in front of the man she once called her soulmate and pretend like she doesn't still love him with every part of her? Love isn't as simple as choosing between two people. It's not just about how she feels in this moment, it's about everything that has happened since Ty left. It's about Lindy, who barely remembers her father and only knows Nathan as the man who has been there. It's about the fear of losing herself again, of opening her heart so completely only to have it shattered once more. And it's about Nathan, who deserves more than to be someone's second choice. Nathan, however, isn't giving up without a fight. He knows Amy's heart is torn, but he refuses to believe it's already lost. He pushes her, forces her to confront the reality of what's happening. "You told me you loved me," he says, his voice tight with emotion. "Did you mean it, Amy? Or was I just a way to fill the void he left behind?" The words cut like a knife, and Amy recoils. She wants to tell him that it wasn't like that she did love him, that she does, but can she say it with the same certainty she once had? Ty, on the other hand, watches the scene unfold with a quiet, painful realization. He never expected it to be easy, but he also never imagined it would feel like this. He thought his return would bring Amy nothing but joy, that she would run into his arms without hesitation. But now, standing here, watching her struggle between him and Nathan, he begins to wonder, did she really move on? Was he expecting too much? He loves her, but he refuses to be the reason she feels trapped. If she truly loves Nathan, if she's happy with him, then Ty won't stand in the way. But that's the problem, isn't it? Amy isn't happy. She's confused, torn, and afraid. Lindy is the one who unknowingly delivers the biggest blow. The little girl stands between the two men, staring up at Ty with wide, uncertain eyes. She's heard about him her whole life, seen pictures, been told stories, but in her world, Ty Borden was always just that, a story. And now, he's standing in front of her, real and alive. She looks at Amy, seeking reassurance, but Amy is frozen. Then, Lindy turns to Nathan. Nathan stiffens, his breath catching in his throat. He doesn't know how to answer because, in some ways, he has been her father. He's been there for every scraped knee, every bedtime story, every moment of doubt and fear. But biologically? No, he's not. And now Lindy is looking up at him, confused, waiting for an answer that he doesn't know how to give. Amy swallows hard, bending down to face her daughter. "Yes, sweetheart," she whispers. "This is your dad." The weight of those words crashes over everyone. Lindy's face lights up with something close to excitement, but there's hesitation too. Ty crouches down, his voice gentle. "Hey, Lindy," he says softly. "It's me." He wants to reach out, to hold her, but he doesn't. He waits. And for the first time, Amy sees just how much this isn't just about her. This is about Lindy, too. This is about a little girl who thought she had everything figured out, only to have her world flipped upside down in an instant. Nathan watches as Lindy hesitantly steps forward, her small hand reaching out toward Ty. It's slow, unsure, but it's happening. And in that moment, Nathan feels like he's losing everything, not just Amy, but the family he thought he had, the life he thought he was building. His grip on it all is slipping, and for the first time, he wonders, is this a fight he's already lost? Ty, meanwhile, is overwhelmed with emotions he can barely process. He thought the hardest part would be coming back, facing Amy, explaining everything. But know this, the moment his daughter reaches for him with uncertainty in her eyes is the hardest thing he's ever faced. Because he realizes that, to Lindy, he isn't her father, not really. He's a stranger. And that realization cuts deeper than any wound he's ever had. Amy watches, her heart breaking for both men for Ty, who came back expecting to reclaim the life he left behind, only to find that it's not as simple as just stepping back in, and for Nathan, who has given so much, only to stand on the edge of losing it all. But she can't fix this. She can't snap her fingers and make it all okay. She has to choose. But how do you choose between the man who was once your whole world and the man who helped you rebuild it? Amy Fleming has never faced a choice as heart-wrenching as this. Every fiber of her being is pulling her in two different directions, and no matter what she decides, someone will get hurt. Whether it's Ty, the love of her past who has miraculously returned, or Nathan, the man who stood by her when her world was shattered. And at the center of it all is Lindy, the daughter she has spent years protecting, whose understanding of family has just been turned upside down. Ty's return was supposed to be a dream come true, and for a brief moment, it was. Seeing him again, hearing his voice, feeling the familiar warmth of his presence, it was everything Amy had once wished for. But reality is much more complicated than the fairy tale she imagined in her grief. She has changed. Her life has changed. And no matter how much she once loved Ty, she can't erase the years of pain, growth, and healing that led her to where she is today. Nathan watches her struggle, and a quiet rage builds inside him, not at Amy, but at the cruel twist of fate that threatens to take everything from him. He never asked to compete with a ghost. He never wanted to be the man Amy settled for because the love of her life was gone. But now, as he stands in the aftermath of Ty's return, he's forced to ask himself, was I ever truly her future, or was I just a place for her heart to rest until the past came back for her? The weight of this decision presses down on Amy like never before. Every time she looks at Ty, she remembers the years they spent together the first time they met, the countless memories they built, the love they shared so deeply. But then she looks at Nathan, and she sees the steady presence that carried her through the storm, the man who loved her without expecting her to be anything but who she was. How can she possibly decide between the man she once promised forever to and the man who has been waiting to build a new forever with her? Lindy is too young to understand the full depth of what's happening, but she feels the tension, the unspoken battle between the two men in her life. And for Amy, that's what makes this decision even harder. If she chooses Ty, is she risking the stability Lindy has always known? If she chooses Nathan, is she turning her back on the one person who was supposed to be her forever? Ty sees the hesitation in Amy's eyes, and for the first time, doubt creeps in. "Amy, if you don't want me here, I won't stay," he says, his voice quiet but firm. He loves her enough to let her go, even if it destroys him. I don't want to make this harder for you. I just needed to see you again, to know that you were okay. Amy's heart shatters at his words. He knows how much it must hurt him to say it. He knows how much it must be killing him to watch her struggle between her past and her present. And in that moment, she realizes something. It's not just about love, it's about who she is now. She isn't the same girl who fell in love with Tay all those years ago. She's a mother, a woman who has had to make impossible choices before, and this time, she can't afford to make the wrong one. Nathan clenches his jaw, his hands tightening into fists. Just say it, Amy, he finally says, his voice raw with emotion. Say who you want. Say who you love. I can take it. Just don't leave me hanging in the middle of this. The words hit Amy like a punch to the gut. Her gaze shifts between the two men, her heart screaming one thing while her mind whispers another. She has spent years convincing herself that moving on didn't mean forgetting, but now she wonders, did she ever really move on at all? The answer is right in front of her, but is she ready to admit it? Amy stands at the edge of a decision that will change her life forever. The weight of two loves, two futures, and two versions of herself pull her in opposite directions. Ty's return is like a force of nature, unexpected, overwhelming, and impossible to ignore. He is the love of her youth, the man she built her dreams with, the father of her child. But Nathan is the man who stayed, the one who picked up the shattered pieces of her heart and helped her build something new when she thought all hope was lost. And now, standing between the past and the present, she must decide which future she's willing to fight for. Everywhere she turns, there are reminders of the love she and Tay once shared: the ranch, the horses, the laughter that once echoed in every corner. It all comes rushing back like a flood. She remembers the way he used to hold her after a long day, the way they would ride side by side across the fields, the way they promised each other forever. But forever had been stolen from them. She had grieved him, let go of him, forced herself to accept that he was never coming back. And now, as he stands before her, alive and waiting, she wonders if she could ever find her way back to him. But then there's Nathan. Nathan, who stood by her when she was drowning in sorrow. Nathan, who never pressured her to move on, but was always there when she needed someone to lean on. Nathan, who loves Lindy as if she were his own, who has given Amy a sense of stability she thought she'd never feel again. With him, she found comfort, safety, and maybe even a new kind of love, one that wasn't built on years of history, but on understanding, patience, and shared pain. It wasn't the same as what she had with Ty, but that didn't mean it wasn't real. And now she knows that no matter what she chooses, someone will be left heartbroken. Ty watches her with an intensity that sends shivers down her spine. He knows he doesn't have the right to demand anything from her. Too much time has passed, too much has changed. He sees the conflict in her eyes, the storm raging within her, and as much as it kills him, he has to know, is there still a place for him in her heart? Amy, he finally says, his voice steady but filled with emotion, I love you. I've always loved you. And I know this is a lot. I know I wasn't supposed to come back, but I did. And I need to know if there's still a chance for us. Nathan steps forward, his jaw tight, his eyes dark with unspoken pain. And what about me, Amy? Do I even matter? Or was I just someone to fill the empty space while you waited for a miracle? His voice cracks, and for the first time, Amy sees the raw vulnerability in him. The world seems to stand still. Amy's heart pounds so loudly in her chest that she's sure they can hear it. She takes a deep breath, her mind racing, her emotions in chaos. She looks at Ty, the man who was once her everything. She looks at Nathan, the man who stood by her when everything fell apart. And then she looks at Lindy, the innocent child caught in the middle of it all. Lindy tugs on Amy's hand, her small voice breaking through the silence. Mommy, are we still a family? Amy's breath catches in her throat. That's what this is really about, not just love, not just past or present, but family. A family that has been broken, reshaped, and tested by time. A family that now stands on the brink of something new, something uncertain. And it's up to her to decide what that future looks like. Tears sting her eyes as she finally speaks, her voice trembling but firm. I love you both, but I can't live in the past anymore. Tay's face pales. Nathan takes a sharp breath. The words hang heavy in the air, each one cutting like a knife. Ty, you were my first love. You were my forever. But you left and I had to find a way to keep living. And Nathan, you were there when I needed someone the most. But I don't know if I can love you the way you deserve. Nathan steps back as if he's been struck. Ty clenches his fists, his expression unreadable. Amy's voice shakes as she continues. I can't make this decision based on what's easiest or what makes the most sense. I have to do what's right for me, for Lindy. And that means choosing myself. The words feel impossible to say, but they are the truth. She can't make this choice out of guilt or obligation. She can't undo the past, and she can't shape her future based on what others expect of her. She needs time to breathe, to heal, to figure out who she really is without the weight of Tay's memory or Nathan's expectations.